Today on Tackett's House of Horsepower, we're gonna get into that rear end.
You first.
Okay, we're back. That was inappropriate. So anyways, we're back out here working on Down and Dirty, the 1964 Chevelle that we are going to attempt to get running and driving for the Duct Tape Drags, and then maybe hopefully do some driving and drag type events with, if you're new to the channel. Anyways, this little Chevelle is going to be a mild build, something we're going to try and race at the like drive and drag race, maybe like you know, kind of like Sick Week in Florida, but we'll do like Rocky Mountain Race Week out here on the West Coast, something like that. But anyways, we are going to do some rear end stuff today. We got it back from the shop, AZ Differential. They had it for a few weeks because they were pretty backed up. They said they're pretty busy right now, but they do excellent work. I've used them several times in the past, and I really like them because they support the local events, they support the local tracks, they support the local racers. So anytime I can give them a shout out or send them some business, I always do. So that's the way it works. But today, what we're gonna plan on doing is get that installed. All the bushings have been replaced. I got a couple bushings I need to press in on the top of there. We got new springs, we got new shocks, we got brake lines, we got all new brakes, we got wheel cylinders, we got spring hardware kits, we got emergency brake cables. We got everything to basically put this all together back here, shocks and all, everything complete. And if everything goes well, we'll be sitting on the rims and tires on all four corners. So that would be nice. Stay tuned. We got our support group out here. Okay, we're about to slip this rear end in. I pressed those bushings in. I was gonna show that, but then I realized that the tools I use are some rented tools that I rented from O'Reilly's a long time ago for ball joint pressing, and I modified them to work for this, and I didn't want to show that. So anyways, I pressed in the bushings. Don't worry about how I did it. Just know I did it. Now we're gonna lift this up, start sticking bolts in these upper and lower control arms, and slide the springs in, and we're starting to look like we're gonna have a rear end in here. As we get it into position, I want to put a little bit of grease. You know what I mean, like where it's gonna be squeaky if you don't. A little bit of grease in there. And also on the bolt too. I put a little bit on the bolts. Like that. That's way too much. All right. Now, can you go in? Too far away?
Yeah.
Well, that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. We were gonna do a long video of this going in, but then the UPS driver pulled up, and then the neighbor's kids came over and started playing with the dogs, and then it was like, you know, this is the way it goes when our garage is open to the neighborhood. People just tend to stop by, you know what I mean? So, which is good, but it's terrible for filming. we get interrupted sometimes. Anyways,
the dogs are neighborhood celebrities.
the dogs, yeah, everyone wants to come say hi to the dogs. Anyways, okay, anyway, back to this. I did a couple things. I took these top ones back off. I didn't realize it, but I put the Zerk fittings pointing down because I figured, well, wouldn't it be easier to grease them when they're pointing down? And I'm like, wait a minute. Then I realized that once the rear end came up, the Zerk fitting was completely blocked. So I guess the Zerk fittings need to be on the top. So I took these off, and then the other thing I did was I spun them all the way down until they stopped. And then I put a yellow mark on them. So what I can do is count the turns so I can make them both equal, you know what I mean? So anyways, put the bolts back in it, everything's kind of loose. Flip the Zerk fitting around to the top. Made them both 0 so I can go ahead and get the bolts in them. And then I'll just kind of center them to the holes. I can't really set pinion angle until, you know, you're at ride height. So I'm just gonna make sure they're both equal for now, if that makes any sense. If not, I don't know. It makes sense to me, so I guess that's all that matters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 puts it right in the middle. We'll give that a try. Okay, we'll put this one 6. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of course it's short.
Here you go.
7, 8. Go back. That's 7. Make this one 7. All right, so they're both 7 turns. Bolts are slid in. I can move it by hand. Nothing's bound up. I like to leave everything loose, you know what I mean, until we get it all in, you know? And then we'll go around and we'll tighten everything. Well, that's gone forever. What? Where? Okay, all the 4-link bolts are in, kind of hand tight. We'll lower it down, slide the springs in, and then it'll actually be sitting on its own weight. So anyway, cruising right along. Okay, everything's tightened up. What I do is, when I stick those bolts in, obviously I put a little grease on it, like I said. Put a little grease on the bolts too, like I said. And then I tighten these down till they get snug. You don't need to tighten these things so tight that they squeeze the bushings, and then it impedes your travel. Like it doesn't want to articulate as smoothly as it should. So I don't want it to be bound up, you know what I mean? So I just tighten the bolts down until it's snug. Not till it's squeezing the hell out of that bushing, you know what I mean? So there you go. All 4 links in. Now we can move on to springs, rubber gaskets. I got new plates. Hit those with some spray paint there. We'll go ahead and stick the springs in next, and then shocks, and then brakes and brake lines and emergency brake cables. There's still lots to do. All right, so it should look something like this. Put your rubber gasket on there, cut it to fit. You gotta trim it. And then you set your metal plate in there. It kind of sits in that spring perch like that. Then you're gonna set it in here, but I just leave it loose for now because you gotta rotate this thing. If you look right here, you'll see where it kind of, the spring starts right there, the perch. So you need to get this in there and rotate it to where this sits right in that corner right there. So that spring pocket will sit right in here correctly. So I just get it in, get it loose, and then I rotate it till I feel it stop on that kind of bump stop right there. And then go ahead and tighten it up on the bottom. All right, so it looks like that. Springs are in, mounted down there with that mounting plate. There you go. Now, next, I'll have Sarah probably start on the shocks. I got new shocks and new hardware. And then me, I'll probably start on these brakes. I've got wheel cylinders, spring kits, hardware kits, new shoes, all the hardware. The only thing that's not going to be new is the drums. I'm hoping I can go get those turned. Go ahead and slap all that on here. Pop all that apart and go ahead and I'll do the rear brakes. I've also got, what else do I got? I got emergency brake cables and brake lines, the hard lines. So there's still plenty to do. All right, I'm over here cruising right along, doing brakes and wheel cylinders and, you know, the fun stuff. E-brake cables. Sarah's working on shocks. One side's in. One side's in. She's working on the other one. She's getting into it. You could have just stepped over it.
It usually goes this way.
So yeah, we're cruising right along. So my high school auto shop teacher, he taught us drum brakes first. He said, if you learn disc brakes first, you'll never want to do drum brakes. So we had to do drum brakes first before we had to learn disc brakes. Well, I'm here to tell you he's a liar because doing drum brakes sucks no matter which order you learn it in. So take that, Mr. Bagnell. I know that wasn't very exciting. Kind of skipped over the drum brake part of it, but they're in there. All new hardware, all new springs, all new wheel cylinders, emergency brake cables. It's not, I mean, I could do a whole video on drum brakes. It's literally just, it's tedious. It'll tear your thumbs up with pliers and brake spring tools, and it sucks. So anyways, I can slide the drums on and adjust them and then stick the tires on it, and it's looking pretty good. Clean up my mess, throw away all the old stuff, but shortly we should see this thing sitting on 4 wheels and tires. Mama left us, so we're all alone. Something about groceries shopping or something, I don't know. I was gonna have her start on these brake lines, but I went ahead and did it myself. So brake lines, they turn out pretty good. They go in there like that. I know, that's what I said. And then I don't know, we got this aftermarket cover and my bracket doesn't want to fit right, of course. You know, it's a little too thick now. Well, so I'm gonna have to make my own bracket. But yeah, you get the idea. Bracket goes there. This brake line here comes in the back like that. And then we got a T, I know. And then the T goes in here. So you get the idea. We're gonna have to do something different. I'll probably just make my own bracket there. So we can mount that up and plug all those in. So that's about as far as I can go with that right now. So I guess we'll go ahead and hold off on that. And then what I need to do then, I guess, is slide the drums on and adjust the brakes. Now, because this is a posi. Now remember, if you got a posi or a spool or something like that, and you got drum brakes, you want to adjust it so it barely touches. You maybe get like 1 rotation or 1.5 rotations out of it. Well, that's hard to do when you do one side and then you go over to the other side and you're dragging both sides. So what you got to do is put one side on, adjust it, take it back off, and then go over to the other side, slide the drum on, adjust it, so you get about the same. And then you can put them both on and put your rims and tires on. But yeah, you don't want to do one side and leave it on and then come over there and try to spin that side. You're going to get a lot more resistance because you're going to be spinning both. So you'll run into this problem with posis or spools or anything like that. So adjusting drum brakes is a little bit more difficult when you have to think about that. So anyways, I'll go ahead and do that right now. And I guess we can put the rims and tires on it. All right, here it is, the moment of truth. We are going to set it down on all fours for the very, very first time. So without further ado, get a hold of this jack, and there we go. And twang, all the springs fly. No, that would not be good. And boom. Yes. She's on all fours. Look at that. Oh, them center lines, come on. You know you like them. There it is. Nothing flew apart. That's good. But yeah, that literally is the first time I've set it down on all 4 tires since I rolled it in the garage, what, however many weeks ago. So, I mean, it really hasn't been that long, but you know, you just got to get out here every day and do something on it, you know, and you'll get progress, and a little bit of progress, it adds up. Pretty soon, there you go. So these tires, let's talk about this setup for a minute. These are 245 60-15s. They were definitely on a first gen Nova. I don't know if you're new to the channel or not, but I kind of specialize in first gen Novas and first gen Chevelles. So these tires were most likely on a first gen Nova, and they're 245. So obviously I've got plenty of room. I can go in, and I'm pretty sure I've got about a 1/2 inch or so on the outside. So I can go with a bigger tire, especially maybe a little bit taller. So remember, this car needs to drag and drive. So that being in mind, and I don't have an overdrive transmission. The final drive is 1-to-1 ratio. So my rear end, I just had it rebuilt here locally, and they did gears and a posi and bearings, seals. They did the whole 9. Anyways, yes, it's a 10 bolt. We'll get to that in a minute. I kept the gear ratio real mild. We went with a 336 gear ratio. So if I put a tall tire on it, 26, 27-inch tall tire, this thing should cruise freeway speeds, no problem, hopefully without overheating and all that. We'll put a decent sized radiator in it to hopefully take care of some of that. So yes, it's a 10 bolt. And I know some of you are like, you can't use a 10 bolt. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Stop it. I've been drag racing for a long time. My blue Nova runs 11s and drives on the streets since 1998. And it still has a stock 10 bolt in it with stock axles. I have several buddies who race Novas, run 10s and 9s with a stock 10 bolt. If you don't believe me, you can go over to Vice Grip Garage page and see Derek over there and take a look at his Chevelle. That thing runs 9s with a 273 gear ratio, 8.2 stock 10 bolt stock axles. So he does all that burnout competition stuff and runs 9s with a big block and a trans brake in his Chevelle. So apparently these 10 bolts are a little tougher than you think. So anyways, in my situation here with my current engine and transmission, I'm not gonna make anywhere near enough horsepower to break this. And if I do, I'm gonna upgrade to something much beefier, most likely a 9-inch. That's what's in the green Chevelle. That's a 9-inch, Curry 9-inch, 35 spline axle, Curry 9-inch. But for this street car, a 10 bolt's fine. Don't worry about it. You don't need to go out and spend $4,000 on a rear end. You know what I mean? Spend $1,000 and get whatever you want done to your 10 bolt, and you're probably going to be fine. Unless you're making 1,000 horsepower, you're probably going to be fine. You don't have enough tire. Unless you got big slicks and a big stall and a big trans brake, you're probably going to be fine. So anyways, yes, 336 gear ratio. I'm a little bit nervous about that. It's definitely going to hurt me at the track. So driving on the street, hopefully it should be good. But what I'll do is on my spares, I'll get a shorter slick and put a shorter slick on it when I race. And then when I switch back to street tires, I'll put the tallest tire I can on it to try to sneak a little bit of, out of both. Try to get a little bit of both. Street drivability and be able to race it. This thing has to drive 1,100 miles for that race. So that's got me more nervous than the actual drag racing, you know what I mean? To be able to put something together, keep it cool, not spend 5,000 RPMs on the freeway for hours on end, overheat, all that. So anyways, I don't know. We might change it. We might change it. I'm gonna race it like this at Duct Tape Drags. I'd like to shake it down in September at Duct Tape Drags. And so if that's the case, we will see. We will see if it's terrible and it needs more gear, or you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I might just drive the car to Tucson, drive it from Phoenix to Tucson, race it, drive it home in September. That'll be a good test. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm talking a little crazy right now, but I know that's only like 4 months away. Can I get this to run and drive all the way to Tucson and back? I don't know. That's a lot. I don't know. We're gonna try. But anyway, I wanna roll this outside and walk around a little bit. There it is. So if you go back and look at my first video on this car, it was about a month ago. So we did this in 1 month. Basically using parts that I had laying around. The engine I had laying around, transmission I had laying around, rims and tires I had laying around, the cross member I had laying around from another project, rear end is stock, whatever. It's all a lot of hand-me-down parts from the green car and stuff I had laying around. But yeah. Not bad. About a month's worth of work. pretty happy. I'm pretty happy. It's coming right along. Now, I just got to get the body back from the body guy, and I don't know. I may not even paint it. I might just fix the rust and put the windows back in it and leave the outside looking the way it was. I don't know. I'm running out of time. So I might leave the outside looking like it was. I don't know. We're gonna see. Well, look who decided to show up now after all the work's done. Where you been?
I went grocery shopping, getting us food.
Everyone's been worried sick. The dogs were crying. It was a catastrophe.
Horrible.
Yeah, you
I
didn't
can't
hear 'em.
leave ever.
So, oh, steaks for
Yeah, I
dinner?
got steaks.
I guess I'm grilling tonight.
Corn on the cob, potatoes.
Hey,
Yeah, good
that's
stuff.
not bad. Well, I think I've done enough damage for today. So it's sitting on all fours. Happy about that. Really, the only thing left I can do to the chassis is some plumbing, power steering lines, tranny lines, fuel line. Other than that, I've gone about as far as I can go with the chassis. So I guess nothing left to do now but go throw those steaks on the grill. So
Marinating.
Anyway, we just really want to say thank you and thanks for watching so far. And stay tuned. We're gonna finish putting this car back together. So we really appreciate all the love and support. And if you could like and subscribe and comment and hit that bell, that would be great. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. See you next episode.
Thank you. Okay, she actually wasn't lying. She was marinating meats, steak, chicken, corn on the cob, potatoes. So yeah, I'll give her a little bit of slack. There goes Scout. She's on patrol. What is she doing, Oliver? Goofy dogs. And there's Down and Dirty. There's an update on her. What is going on over there? Somebody pole vaulting? I don't know what's going on. Anyways, I figured that's a good way to end the video. I'll sneak this one in. She does the editing, so she'll get this at the end and go, "What are you doing?" You guys have a good weekend, and again, we appreciate all the support.